Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on February the 8th, 2018. And just a quick disclaimer before we get started, this is for education purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so we'll start off with our Forex Factory calendar here. In terms of the news here, we had Reserve Bank of New Zealand monetary policy statement. And let's take a look. So cash rate is unchanged, and they're looking for global inflation to stay the same and economic growth. Okay. All right, so they kept things the same. So let's go, and coming up in the morning, we have RBA Governor Lau speaking for Australia here at 4 a.m. We do have German BUBA President Whiteman speaking here as well in the London session. The biggest thing, though, tomorrow will be Bank of England one monetary policy statement and the bank rate vote. So it looks like they're not looking to, or we are not expecting anybody to vote for an interest rate hike at this point, and the interest rate is expected to stay the same. But again, how the central bank views the economic activity and what they are expecting is what will make a difference here. So that's what we'll have to pay attention to. And then we have monetary policy statement for RBA coming in later in the day. So that's what we have on the tab. Let's take a look here. We'll start off with our daily here. Big, huge drop for euro. And as a result of that, so we were looking for drop, got the drop here. So next we are looking for a further drop. So I'm looking for price to come down a bit more based on the daily candle close here. This is very bearish. So I'm looking for price to drop further here. So we're seeing some of these moves are happening in the, we saw in the New York session as well. We did see euro drop in the London session, but a lot of the move happened later on in the day here. So for now, so big bearish candle close, looking for price to pull back into this 123 area here, and then looking for a further drop back into this support resistance at 1.2160-ish area. So that will be the target to the downside. The bias is to the downside. So this is where we are. Price dropped a fair bit, and then we have price is right into our S2. So very nice here. So support here. So now looking for price to pull back into the pivot point, and then looking for a further drop. First target would be 1.2250, but after the pullback, then looking for a drop, and then we have a further target of 1.2160. It could go into the 50 level here. So those will be the two targets to the downside. And based on this, though, that's a very bullish candle close. Pound here, same thing. Pound had a bearish candle close as well. So looking for further move to the downside. And in this case, looking for 137.30-ish level. Now, with this one, though, question will be what central bank has to say, Bank of England. And that would have an impact because we are looking for the Bank of England monetary policy statement. And if Bank of England is bullish, it could push pound up. So this one we have to be careful with because price has not broken the previous low from yesterday. So bias is to the downside. It wasn't able to go higher. So it was a nice drop here. But again, we have to see a clearance of this level. And then we are looking for price to go into 137.30 level. So this is where we are. Price has stayed in this range for the last 2 days. A very, very nice pin bar actually on the 1 hour here. And then we have just sort of gone up, gone down, and here we are. So in this case, we need to see a break below this 138.40 level, and then looking for a continuation move to the downside. So basically here, we're looking for this type of move pullback, and then a drop. So this here will be a good level to look for a potential short, because we do need to see a clearance. However, if the price does go back up, we could see the price go into this level, 1.3930 or 40 level, and then do this, or it could go to the top of the range and then drop as well. So overall, the bias is to the downside. I'm just going to be looking to see where we could get a potential entry in that, but the daily candle close is quite bearish. Aussie here. Aussie has had, looks like we got, okay, so ignore that. It just randomly opens these things up. Okay, so we have, we were looking for, yesterday we had talked about how if price stayed below this level, even though we had a bullish candle close, we were looking for a drop. So we got a fairly big drop here. So I'm looking for price to move down lower here. So the target would be 77.70 level for Aussie here. And this is where we are. Price stayed below this level. We had a nice, basically back test here, kind of double top here, and then a drop. So right now that is looking weak. So in this case, we could see the price go back and retest this level here. So basically do one of these, which is also our pivot point level. So 78.50 level, and then do a drop. But overall, the bias is to the downside. So I would look for a pullback into the pivot point and then a drop. So the bias is bearish for this one. This one here, the monetary policy looks like we are, didn't see a lot of bullishness from the central bank, and actually they kept everything the same. So they're not changing anything. So what the market would be looking for would be interest rate hike or signals of interest rate hikes from Australia and New Zealand, because Canada has done that and the commodity currencies have done quite well. So as a result, they would be looking for sort of similar, because they tend to move together. And we have not seen that. So that overall, even though nothing got changed, that it is still considered bearish from their perspective. So that's what we are seeing here, a big drop as a result, big, huge engulfing candle close, which is bearish, and looking for a further drop if we get a lot of momentum to the downside. So the first target would be 71.80, which is not that far, and looks like we have momentum here. So 71.40 will be the next target to the downside. So this is where we are. Prices sort of stayed low. We saw this big drop, pull back right into this previous support. So this is the type of move that I was referring to before. So price dropped. So it broke through this previous low. So broke through this previous low, did one of these, dropped, pulled back all the way, and then dropped again. So this here, or so if we go to a smaller time frame, or a 5 or 15, this would be where the entry, very nice entry, would be looking for price to drop. So once it holds below this previous level, then we're looking for price to move down lower. So this is bearish, looking for a further drop in New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this is bullish, and price is looking very bullish candle close here. So price is looking like it wants to move higher. First target would be 1.2600, second target 126.80 level, back into the support and resistance area. So looking for price to push up higher for dollar CAD. And if you take a look here, so price has stayed above this level, and we are into this level right here, this support and resistance. And if price holds above this, we're just looking for price to move up higher from there. So sort of like this, once this gets breached, then looking for price to move above that. So that's what the bias is for dollar CAD. Bias is to the upside, and target will be 12600 being the first target, 126.80 will be the second target. Euro Swiss franc here, not doing a whole lot, just sideways. And we had talked about how price may reject this level here. Yesterday it did that, didn't quite even get there. So now we have a bearish candle close. and looking for price to drop. The target here would be 1.1500, this which is bottom of this pin here, and this is the support resistance area all the way back from there. So looking for a drop in Euro Swiss, biases to the downside. 1.1500 will be the target to the downside. This one here, pound Swiss franc, has actually pushed up. So with this one, looking for price to move back higher into 131.40 level or even 50, and then overall biases to the downside. So we could get one of these and then a drop back down. So for now, because it's a bullish candle close, looking for price to move higher into 131.40 or 50 level. And this is where we could come into resistance and we could see a drop. But we'll have to play this one by the ear and see how price goes, because it could get higher. It could go higher into 1.3180 level as well. So that one we'll have to be a little bit mindful of. But for now, it is pushing up higher. So we could see price go either into 1.3150 level or into 1.31 or even all the way to 3,200. 3180 is what I was looking at before, but it could go right into the very top of the pin there. So there is bullishness in there. So we'll leave it like that. Pound Swiss for now is bullish. Dollar Swiss franc is looking bullish here as well, and looking for a further move into 94.68 level. And this is where the decision point will be if it's going to continue on higher. So biases to the upside, first target would be 94.68 level, and then looking for price to pull back into 95.37. Prior to that, 94.94, so about 9,500 will be the second target. And let's do a third one here, which is right there, 95.37-ish level. So those are the three targets to the upside. Very bullish candle close, so we could get price to the price move upwards. But now we are getting into important support and resistance area right into here. And if the price is not able to breach this high here, then we could see kind of the move to the downside, just like we talked about in pound Swiss franc here. Pound CAD is neutral, not much happened, so we will skip over that. This is probably not the best one to trade. Pound yen here, this is another one that we had talked about where we were looking for price to move up higher a little bit and then drop from there because overall bias is to the downside. So this one, the bias is still to the downside, but we do need to see a clearing of the bottom. So pound dollar and pound yen are looking very similar right now. And the bias so is to the downside because of the daily candle close, but we do need to see a break below 151.20 level for it to continue lower. And then we could see a pullback into this 152.00 or even a little higher, right about there. Let me check what level that would be, 152.20-ish level. So we could see that side sort of a pullback and then a drop from there. But first target would be 151.20 and then a 150.20 level here to the downside. So bias is down to the downside. Euro yen bias is to the downside as well. We have a nice bearish candle closed almost at the bottom here. So in this case, I would be looking for price to push up a bit like that and then drop. So in this case, target would be 133.00. And here we are. So the pullback that I'm looking for will be back into this pivot point and then looking for a further drop. So the bias is to the downside. Aussie yen, big drop here. We haven't cleared the bottom here, but the bias is to the downside based on this candle close. And the target would be 84.38 level back into this area here. So looking for a drop there as well. And in this case, again, we could see a pullback back in, even into this area, which is 86.00, and then a drop, or into the pullback and then a drop. So we have to wait for those pullbacks to happen before we can take a trade. But overall, the bias is to the downside. Dollar yen here, this is going sideways. So US dollar has been strong. Yen has been strong as well. So we are basically sideways. So probably not the best one to trade either. It's just sideways. With if all the other yen crosses drop, this is likely to drop as well. And again, the target here would be 108.40 level. So overall, I would say overall biases to the downside because we are seeing lower highs. So we could see continuation to the downside, especially if other yen crosses drop. And then we have CAD yen. CAD yen, again, just like everything else, is looking bearish. So this is where we are. So again, with a lot of these yen crosses, we are seeing bearish candle close, but we need to see a break of the bottom, because price could get stuck here and push back higher if it doesn't break this previous low. So that's the only thing we have to be mindful of, but the bias is to the downside. So I'm looking for a drop into 86.00 here. So that will be the next target for CAD yen. And that covers it all. Any questions or anything to add here? All right, so if not, we will call it a wrap. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in the London session at 3 a.m. Eastern. Have a good night.